So, I'm officially a top 75th percentile of earners in my state. So, yes, I did get the job. Woohoo! I don't know if jobs really want you to talk about the job, even if you're happy you got the job. But I guess I'm a high earner now, even though my car would say otherwise. And then once they take money from my 401k, which seems like not a scam, but a 401k is like, oh, I took this extra pay just for you guys to keep me down. But no, you have a real job when there's actually a savings attached to it. Because they're like, people are really useless to take care of themselves. So we'll just make sure we don't have you living on the street when you're 73. When this job breaks your back and your pussy and your crack. But you know what? I looked it up. Before, I was the dead average of income. And now, just in a matter of a week, I am up there with the big dogs. I have the type of income where, you go to family gatherings and they're like, oh, you still, do X, Y, and Z, trying to make it out there. And you're like, make it out there? Bitch, I've made it and then some. I could buy your house right now. They're like, no, you can't. And you're like, I could file a credit line on it. But you know what? They say money changes people. And, because literally when you make more money, you got to get a haircut. You got to look decent. You can't wear hats. You can't go to work showing off your nice titties. Well, at least not as a guy. Please keep showing. Give us the love. Give me some sugar. Because I promise she will be loved. But no, you know what? I'm very excited. But yeah. Just to spoil the number. $23.50 an hour. Now look. Could I raise 2 kids? No. Could I raise a kid, partly neglectfully and have to go bare bones in the essentials and we never spend time to go do anything fun on what I make? Of course we could. You just got to treat him like a pet. You just eat what I eat, Because baby food is way out of this world. It's way too expensive. That whole Gerber life insurance plan, 50 cents a day to have a Gerber baby plan. It's like, or I could save that 50 cents and feed my kid today. But I don't know. But yeah. And I actually decided to switch it up for today's show. Instead of drinking a coffee, I decided to switch it out for some Prime. You're welcome, Logan Paul, for the more Prime advertisement, And your press conference, someone should have thrown a microphone in my head a long time ago so I would have to stop doing this show. Maybe you should have threw just your Prime can at you. That would have been great advertisement. See how these high school athletes recover from the lack of hydration in it. But I got to admit, when I went to the vitamin shop and got these, they had the only reason why I have them is they had them on sale for $1 each, which I'm like, that's totally not a good sign. I feel like these things would typically be overpriced at $2 something. If I had to guess, it's the energy soda version. And there's no sugar. It's vegan. That's a weird thing to advertise. 200 milligrams of caffeine, which is actually pretty high, gotta admit. And the dude over the counter is like, bro, I had this shit. It does nothing I feel no energy. I'm not crashed because there's no sugar, but it did nothing. I gotta admit, man, this shit's kind of, it gives you a little jolt. That blue raz. But yeah, you see what happens when you start making more money? You just start buying shit, Look at me talking like I've made it. I haven't even gotten a check from this amount of pay yet. I haven't even started the training yet. I guess you could say I'm like Colorado football. I'm primetime, baby. All right. And yeah. But yeah, welcome to episode 2 228. The perfect 5-minute intro. Welcome to episode 228 of the Off and Beat podcast with Clint Nelson. I'm your host, Clint Nelson. All out there. Still redundant. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Most important, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to suck some titties. And recording this on Friday, October 13th. Typically, I would not tell you the day. Well, actually, I typically would. But it's Friday the 13th. Watch out. There's no lake nearby, so I don't have to worry about Jason. But hopefully, when you guys come to one of my meet and greets, you guys will be adjacent to greatness. Because, I like to give that manifesting vibes. I like it when people are around me, they feel good. They feel like, man, if he can do it, anyone can do it. Which is kind of like a backhanded compliment. Like, hey, you know what? If this man persevered, he had no natural talent, he had nothing going for him. And he fucking did it. What's your excuse? And you're just like, oh, well, just fuck me, I guess. I only grinded out of this for years, learning the craft and becoming bearable to, develop into the man I was sought out into this world to be. And just for you to be like, there was no hope for this man, and he made something out of himself. And you're just like, thanks. Hear that, kids? Even if you're meant to do nothing in this world, you can be just like me. All right. That's some inspiration right there. But yeah, recording this at 5:19 a.m. Eastern. Not, people always say specific, but it's Pacific. But yeah, as you can tell with the intro, that's why I'm wearing the white sweater. You got to dress for the part you want. You got to start looking the part, even though I can't wear hats, but I'm getting there. Gotta get a haircut. Gotta do something with this hair. I got garlic knots literally just hanging in the back of my head. My girl actually calls it a bird's nest. It doesn't really bother me. I actually don't think from behind, pause, it actually looks all that tangled up. Still pretty big pause. Like Jada, you would not want to be entangled anywhere behind or nearby. Because damn, apparently they've been separated since 2016, her and Will. It's like, well, if you were separated, the way that man was crying on your show, I think only one of you try to keep your offspring separated. See what I did there? It's a rock group. And if that was the case, why would you guys go to awards together and have them do that? If you were quote unquote separated since 2016. Because you know what? If you were truly separated since 2016, when all the previous drama happened with August a few years ago, your Red Table Talk, then you would have just said you guys have been separated and still are. But you guys said you got back together after all that, fine, whatever. But you're still like, oh no, we're still separated. It's like, oh, all right. But let me tell you who should really be separated. Unfortunately, this is how you know your Google and your YouTube is listening to what you're talking about. Because one, I have my Google Calendar tell me your birthday's coming up. It's like, I literally have never talked about my birthday to you guys. But I guess with your account information, they do the math with all the information in your laptop. Your birthday came up somewhere. But I was made aware about this odd video out there. I don't want to be a gossiper. I don't want to be a weirdo. Because I did not search this out. Because I thought when I was told this, I'm like, you know what? Not everything you hear needs to be confirmed. If this is true or not true, I will let other people talk about it. I will let other people. And I'm like, you know what? This is one of those that, like, if it's true, I feel like this would be worldwide. TMZ, gossip news. This would be like mainstay on the internet. But the argument could be made when you're on these people's levels. There's very legal ways to suppress videos or to pay for videos to be taken off the internet. Which I think what we realize is At this point in time, the second something's on the internet, people have already downloaded, people have already saved the encryption. Like, it's really, once you put it out there, it's out there. You can delete wherever the fuck you want. If people want certain things saved, it will be saved. So there's this weird video of Odell Zesty Beckham, Trey, I barely do legal stuff in the bedroom songs, and Justin, he has found his purpose, Bieber. He said, "What do you mean, Odell?" And I guess he went down to tie his shoes, and someone was randomly recording. It looked like in the video. Now, the video does not show the acts being. It is very loose interpretation of the angle. There's you don't see anything, but based off how he comes up, no pun intended, Bieber, from the position he's in, the way people look confused, like why this dude's recording in this area. And it seems like in these if you're on that celebrity, even if this is some industry party where these activities would be kind of normalized, or it would be normal to see these out in the open. I would think when you're on that level, you could probably just be like, hey, if we're going to do something, we can just wait till after. But Bieber probably looked like during, I don't know, I would say probably he was maybe 19 in the video. I don't know. It's like that time of frame where he's kind of going off the wall before he found his purpose. Before he found God again. Before he found the Hillsong church pastor who gave him guidance and faith in life and taught him how to be a faithful man. As now he's out making documentaries defending the fact of, oh, it's the church's fault why I was this way. He's putting all the onus on the church. It's like, the church has nothing to do with the fact that you went out of your way to meet a woman at this park in New York City and she looked nothing like your wife, and she was definitely a type that the church would not approve, and you kind of like that. But you know what? But yeah, apparently the video was very sus, as the kids say. And I actually came across on YouTube. It's actually not that hard to find. You just type in Justin Bieber, Trey Songs. And then you'll get a song they did 9 years ago. And then in a couple shorts, you'll see some descriptions like, what is going on here? Or will be some, what just happened? And you click on it, and you're like, oh, the video is very real. So yeah, I'm not surprised per se of Odell being in the video. Not even Trey Songs. A little surprised about the Biebs. It's a little disappointing. Because I guess he does like to get his peaches not just in Georgia. All right, Clint. And on that note, that was episode. All right. You know what? Go search it yourself. Make your own algorithm fucked up. But that's the thing, right? Like, in that situation, you're obviously in a private setting, in a club, or you are in a venue where what's going on is obviously the theme. So why is someone recording? Is that someone randomly recording and they saw the video and they didn't take his fucking phone away? Like, you're telling me they're participating in something they wouldn't want the world to know? Those three dudes have the power to just snatch their fucking phone, security to take that person's fucking phone and just smash that shit, and you're telling me they didn't? I think maybe it's like a prank video. Maybe it's like some skit. But I I don't know. Maybe they were drugged out of their mind. Maybe they were just out of their mind. Maybe they were already ritualized. I don't know, I'm not an expert on that stuff. But all I say is Odell hasn't caught things the same ever since. He made that one-handed catch, and it seems like ever since he's been making one-handed besties around his crotch. So, DJ Khaled. But any woo-woo, moving on. I'm on the way up. But you know what? That's the thing, right? When you make that type of money as a man in that percentage now, obviously when I say that, you guys know I'm not being serious. I literally I remember I had this one episode way back yonder. It was called Broke Boy Talking Time and Value. Well, I got time today, and I'm a high value man. That just goes to show you how low the standards are. Is the fact that I'm out here in the top 75th percentile of earners. And yet, if you saw my recording setup, if you saw my vehicle, if you saw my lack of shitty Wi-Fi, to the point where I don't even own my own router. And that's why it takes 5 hours to fucking transfer this shit. And you're like, you know what? He's doing good out here. And then you look where I live, you're like, nah, it's a struggle fest. So this just goes to show you that, back in the day, you can make the average and live a very comfortable, okay, not worry every week about what you have and what you don't have type of life. Now you have to make an above average just to be below average of what old standards used to be. Like if there's a median, there's a bell curve. There's an accepted median of a way of living. And what you typically have to do to sustain that median living is median stuff. Now to maintain a median living, you have to make an above average. If you want to live an above average, you have to make an exorbitant amount more than above average. Like everything's a level up of what you actually do just to live a standard below. Because of the way we have everything set up, from debts, payments. Everything is set up, and everything is not accidental. The rent where you live is in relation to what the average of what people get paid. Everything adjusts to where you live, all right? And so wages are very dependent on what they can get away with paying someone to get by. Car payments are very designed to make people believe they can afford X amount a month in their budget. And we'll just hide it. Like people always want to hear, I have 70 months to pay this off. But it's the consecutive 70 months that it becomes wired into you that's normal. But the payments are designed to make it be low enough where you don't question how much you hate your existence every month. But high enough where you can't afford just to pay it off. Because what's the point of financing a vehicle to someone that they know could pay it off in 5 months? They get nothing. They literally make no money off of it. These finance companies make it off interest. They don't make out that. Like the company that sold you the car gets the money. The financing, they're relying that you don't pay your shit. They're relying that you miss payments. They are relying you pay the minimum every month and don't pay attention to the annual interest you pay every year. That's what they're relying on. That's where the money's at. And all this extra money that you quote unquote make off your good living is just hidden as you're giving back in these avenues. And that's why even when you make a little bit more, people are still typically stuck in a similar, if sometimes worse situation, because they think they make more than they can actually afford. To me, the more money I make, I actually want to do less. Like, as weird as that sounds, because the more money you're like, you start paying attention to, like, why, I fucking hate spending all this extra money, all this extra time I spent. I hate it. When you make so little, you almost have kind of given up on the fact that there's hope. So you're saying, fuck it. It doesn't matter if I save a couple extra $100 or spend an extra couple. It doesn't make a goddamn difference. But when you make enough where you could think about this shit, it makes you want to do less. See? Now there's your real financial advisor. Like Shark Tale. I think it was a crab. He told Lenny the dolphin. Or he told Oscar the fish. Will Smith, actually. I'm your financial advisor. I would be a great financial advisor. I think my best skill set is giving people advice in things I am not qualified by any certificate or degree. I think that's honestly my best skill set. Because I think sometimes when you have certificates, you develop an ego that you stop learning, right? Like, you get like these personal trainers, that are these certificate holders. Oh, I got this online certificate that I did for 4 months where I took some nutritional quizzes and learned some optimal functional exercises of how to train an obese person, of how to lose weight, and it's all about the diet, blah, blah, blah. And then you see how they train, and they just never work out their hip abductors. Trainers always skip the hips, which is why their paycheck takes a couple dips, and they can never do a dip. But, and, that's the thing, right? People that have certificates or degrees and stuff, like, yes, you know what? It's nice. It will help you learn, get jobs, and shit like that. All right. But there are people who will give you better financial advice who have never taken a finance class, because there's life experience with financial situations that you actually learn from, and not just look from paper, because there's different seeing things of how to do stuff financially, and you experience things firsthand of how that shit made you feel, of how that shit affected your personal life when you made certain bad financial decisions, or when things happened and you weren't financially prepared for it. That's where the real experience of financial advice. A financial advisor is really like these financial advisors at these banks. They're really just kind of like doctors with because I was listening to some earlier about the Oxycontin epidemic. These Oxycontin, I forgot the family. It's like the soccer family, the socket, SACH something. I don't know. But there's apparently a docudrama out there about the Oxycontin epidemic, where being over-described, and it's basically heroin in a pill, as they describe. But a lot of these Oxycontin, like the Oxycontin company, the distributors, look, we all know they all have these deals with these medical hospitals. You know that most medical hospitals are independently owned. They aren't just like these big government assisted shit. There are government hospitals, but they're gonna have employees there that might put an infected needle in you and don't even know it. You're gonna get what you pay for, so. But they have these deals with these hospitals, like, hey, the more milligrams, like that was the thing with specifically Oxycontin. Doctors at these private practices, the more they push the higher dosage of milligrams, the more compensation of like kind of, what is it called? Not bonus, but not incentive, but they basically got a higher percentage, let's just say. And shit, I forgot what I was comparing it to. But essentially, yeah. they get these higher percentage based off how much they're pushing. So, so like these banks, these financial banks that will push credit cards, they will push loans, they will push higher, longer terms of deals for, so you have more time to pay it off, but it's just more interest attached. Like, whatever they are pushing you, just know there's a fucking reason. And it's not because they give a shit about you being financially free 6 years faster. They don't make money that way. It's not because they're pushing medicines to you because it actually is going to make you healthy. They know the side effects of this shit. But they got to, people got to make money out here. And to be honest, if you're a private doctor, if you're a doctor, and you have $300,000 of debt to pay off, and you realize, like, man, it's getting kind of, I'm not going to pay this shit off in time. I'm going to be stuck with this debt till I'm 65 years old, working 14-hour days, 7 days a week, just to feel like I did the right thing. Or, you can take a couple extra grand every week, 5 extra grand a week, by pushing certain drugs to people that, quote unquote, may or may not really need it. So, I don't know. I found that interesting. So, yeah. Any woo-woo. Oh. But as we all got to do. We got to do the Drake update. Here's, I got to admit, the album is growing on me. I don't know what, it's still not one of the better Drake albums. But there's more about it I like than the first time. And, I admit, I'm very biased. I'm quote unquote what they would call a Drake stan. But I'm not like, I will acknowledge when Drake makes some what the fuck type of shit. Or when it's just like, But I will give Drake the benefit of doubt on a lot of things. And I gotta admit, listen to the album more in different settings. And actually when you're fully awake and you don't have this heavy anticipation, you're just relaxing and listening. You actually listen. There's more lyrics that I like. There's more songs that I actually feel like aren't just meh. Like they're actually okay. Like these, this is something I could listen to regularly. There's more of that. There's still a lot of weak spots in the album though. Like there's certain type of music on the album I just don't connect with. I don't connect with the yeet. I said the yeet. It's just yeet. Yeah. And there's a few other songs. It's just there's no time and place I'm gonna give a shit about this. But I think there's a lot better than it's being cracked out. I think it's, but I will say this, Certified Lover Boy, I'm not saying it's a classic, and I was very about that album when it came out. I thought I was like, okay, this is pretty good. I did a whole album breakdown track by track, favorite parts of it, least favorite parts of it, gave it a rating for every song. So, but that song actually has for what the album is named in the theme, there's a couple songs that don't really make sense on the album, but overall, I think the album ages really well. And I think that's the beauty with an artist like Drake that we may not realize in real time. The album, honestly, never mind, everyone kind of shitted on at first. It's a house album, But there's a lot of songs on there that are actually pretty. When the album first came out, people were mad because it wasn't a rap album, whatever. But when the album first came out, people were just like, this is just But that has aged well. And I think that's the thing with Drake. Drake has the ability, I think I kind of understand why artists take a while to drop. I think they can make these songs in a day. Honestly, I think a lot of For All These Dogs songs, I'm pretty sure he probably wrote the opening verse in a day and then just fine tuned a lot of the songs over time. And I don't really think it takes him at his level a whole lot of time to really make these songs. Because I feel like he's got formula. He knows what works when he gets in the studio, when he gets inspired. Like, he has a system that works. He's too, like, as they say, he's too big to fail. But as I was saying, he I think the reason why it takes forever for artists to drop is because I think they make songs and they let it sit and they listen to it for months and months. They have people close by listen to it and stuff to see, like, I know this sounds good now. Is this going to sound good? Does this have replay value? Is this catchy? Does this have memorable shit to it that people are going to come back to? And I think that's the kind of power of it. It's a different, like, it may be different from, like, he doesn't have those, like, first initial listen songs, like the Take Care Nothing Was the Same, where you listen to the opening and you listen to a song the first time through, you're like, holy shit, this is a classic. He has some songs in recent history that have that feeling like, holy shit, this is, like, okay. Like, this is the one, as the kids say. But I think he knows, like, he puts songs, like, these artists on this level, they put songs that they know you may not love it the first time you hear it, but when you break down the song and you listen some more, you notice every intricacy. There's certain things that stick out. There's certain things you like more. You catch up a lot of things, which makes you appreciate the song more, which keeps in your head and makes you want to keep listening to it over time. And it becomes a regular part of something you listen to. And I think that's probably why Drake has one of the most expansive, the most hits, one of the most hits of all time, the most expansive catalog, is because of that trait. And I think I'm starting to, you start listening. And you got to think about other artists you like. There's two types of approach, right? One of my favorite artists, Sam Hunt. He dropped his first full studio album in 2014. He had a mixtape in between, but a lot of those songs were before his first album, and then it officially came out a year later, but a lot of those songs were already made before that first album. He didn't come out with his second album until 2020, and that was 3 years ago. So that means in the period of 9 years, almost 10 years of being an artist, being one of the biggest artists in his field, regardless of whether you like his music or not. He has a total of, I think, on those two albums, like 24 to 25 songs in total. Drake had 23 in the last album. He's had probably at least 200 to 300 recorded songs out there. Maybe even more, to be honest. We don't know. You add all of his albums together, his features, singles, mixtape days, like. And also, look, hip-hop and rap is just a different thing. A lot of it is computer-made instrument. I mean, not just computer-made, but you can make instrumentals just with the technology and these Pro Tools and these softwares. Like, you can make instrumentals without recording a single instrument. But, look, obviously the real good producers they use real music to add into things and stuff. But it's different than, like, doing instrumental music where you're making the music on the instrument to make it into a song. That's typically how it goes. But not near here. No, there's two different approaches to making music stick. There's the less is more, which is like the Sam Hunt route, where it's almost like he's such a perfectionist, and a lot of artists, like, they're such perfectionists, like, that they will work on hundreds and hundreds of songs for years, work on a song for a long period of time, and then scrap it and then start over. Like, and you're like, I waited 3 years for 9 new songs, and you put 3 of these out as singles. And it's like, but, most time they're pretty well put together. Then there's a Drake approach where be honest, I don't know with his new music how much time he's really putting into every single track. It doesn't feel like he's putting infinite amount of time into every single track like maybe his earlier days. Or maybe his earlier days, everything just came much more faster because of his hunger. But you get to such a level, he kind of probably feels like I could put whatever out there and people are going to fucking like it. So why would I spend exorbitant hours when I got shit to do? Like, I'm a dad now, you know? But it's like, so for 10 years, I have approximately, from one artist, like 35 recorded songs when you count their acoustic songs and stuff. And one artist has like 200 to 300 in that same period of time. And they're both very successful in their own genres. Now, one's the biggest artist in the world. One's just one of the biggest in his genre. So we're talking about two different popularity situations here. But, you know, there's just such a drastic way of, I think it was a show in our musical taste. We typically like a variety for a reason. We need different things to fulfill different needs. So, I don't know. I should probably start approaching that, you know, making less videos, but, you know, editing and shit. But I'm like, nah, I would just like to put an exorbitant amount out there and just ignore having to live with my thoughts and what I said in the episode. So I just put it out there and keep it moving, as the grandparents would say. But, you know, there's a lot of value to that. Sometimes it's best to just do something, not worry about if it was good or not, and just keep going. Like, if you're training for something, like, sometimes it's better just to go up there and just fucking do, and however it turns out, you live with it and keep going. Not worrying about, did every rep I do, did I hit hypertrophic 100% potential? Did I actually contract everything, you know? Is that worrying about every episode? Oh, did I explain this enough? Oh, did I enunciate? Did I really actually talk about everything? Did I talk too much? Did I even, am I a fucking idiot? Like, I don't know. Who cares? We think way too much about that shit. But what do I know? I'm just a good old Jack and the Beanstalk. Because when you read my fairy tale, there'll be a tooth under your pillow. And you realize there's a reason why my nickname is Sabretooth. Because I'll eat the living shit out of your neck like Armie Hammer. Because I'm a cannibal who's a dad. And he is. And I play the Winklevoss twins. But yeah, honestly, you know what's funny about that whole thing? Not the cannibal part, but his whole thing in The Social Network where they're like, hey, we auditioned this other guy to play your twin, but we just thought we could just have you do both because you're such a great actor. And these actors actually fall for that shit. It's like, I'm playing two actors, but getting paid as one? But he really thought like, man, this is how skilled I am. And they're like, yes, we get to stay under the budget because we only have to pay this dumbass one person's wage. See, what do I know though? I'm not part of a union. But yeah. So, but yeah, speaking of near my opening where I talked about, kind of alluded to the press conference with Dillon, Danis, and Logan Paul, which apparently the fight's on the 14th. I didn't even know it was this Saturday. That's the thing. I don't actually know where the root, obviously I know the stuff that's been happening with Dillon posting Logan Paul's, I think they call her his wife now because he did propose to her. Well, I guess his fiance. We'll see for how long. I will say, if Logan Paul loses or gets knocked out by any means, like, you know what? I think all of his crypto victims will be like, you know what, man? Save the embarrassment. Keep our money. Which he's not going to lose because let's just be honest. He is juiced up on that prime. But no, he's not going to lose because you can say what you want. But compared to Dillon, he's just... If he hits Dillon one time, it's probably over. Like, no, it will be. But, you know, I actually, you know, the thing is I've been aware of Logan Paul and Jake Paul for the past couple years or so, because I used to watch, or I should say, I used to listen to the Impulsive podcast. I don't really listen to it anymore, not because I like just started disliking it. There's just other stuff I'm more into. But you know, during the time, like, Logan was actually becoming more like, I didn't know him before, but he was actually pretty like a genuine to listen to in a lot of ways. Like, it seemed like he changed compared to the previous stuff that happened. He seemed like a very self-aware person. He seemed like he was growing a lot, and that attracts people. But even during that time, him and Jake, they would always be mentioning this Dillon Danis dude, and I don't know where it started. To this day, I do not know what stint, because this was from a few years back. This isn't just some random shit. Like, where did Dillon Danis' name come out where they had issues with them? There had to be some personal shit, because he wasn't an active fighter that was shitting on them. So there had to be some weird shit going on. And, well, whatever it was, Dillon's like, say less. But, you know, that's kind of the fascinating thing, right? Is how you can become likable to unlikable after the Japan incident. Rebuild your image to be likable again. And then, which I'm going to be honest about the Japan incident, it was wrong. The outcry was kind of, you know, it's understandable. You're not supposed to record people there. But at the same time, I guess it was more because he was laughing at it and kind of like, holy shit. But like, just the recording part where they, well, I guess maybe in the original video they didn't blur it out. But it seemed like that was one of those incidents where it's like, hey, this seems a little bit overreactionary to the extent of hate he was getting. The extent of like, all right, well, you're getting mad at me. I'm not the one that actually did the thing, you know. The issue is, like, they shouldn't have posted it, I guess. Someone in the editing room's about, hey, man, I don't know about this one. But people may, like, he commit, like, a federal crime. It's like, look, it was wrong, but it was not something to, like, have to deal with for years of scrutiny and shit. But to do all that, rebuild your image and become kind of likable, or at least tolerable to people. To be like, hey, you know, this person has learned from this. They've grown. And then I think the shit now exposes a lot more about the characteristics that people didn't like about that incident. But now it's such at a pompous level. And the reason why he's more comfortable being like this now, again, than before, is because he's kind of got that fuck you money. Like, you can see what Prime is evaluated at. You can see how much, essentially, money from brand deals and his own company and social media, his collabs with things. Like, he barely even makes YouTube videos anymore. He barely makes videos. I'm sure he's on IG and stuff. What I mean is, like, he made his first lane through Vine. Then YouTube, he transferred to YouTube, became huge on there. And he kind of stopped making videos on there that often. And he kind of started doing his own thing. Like the Pokemon cards things, Crypto Zoo, and boxing and all these other things. It actually seem like, you know what? I feel like the stuff he's doing is actually stuff he's genuinely interested in, you know? And it's like, okay, there's a part of that where it's like you get to a point, it's like, you know what? I've done all this shit. These prank videos, these over-the-top internet shit to feel him. He's like, I don't really need to do shit. I don't want. When you get to that point where you don't need to take money or don't need to do money that you don't want to do, it's kind of like, oh, well, then I'm just not. And I think but now he's got that type of money where he just like the worst parts of what people didn't like about him then he has to do now. And look, he's literally a WWE wrestler. The dude's on, look, he's probably on juice. There's a legend, Dylan Dennis kind of point out, and like their, not the press conference, but their little, which I think this shit's corny. Like, I've never understood the boxing thing, where they do like a week before, they'll have like a TV network or whoever, have these two boxers sitting at a table in this dark room, have one interviewer moderator in the middle with no one else in the room. And they just had this one-on-one talk across the table about how much they're going to fuck each other up. In this instance, the whole thing was just about, it's like, oh, you think you're doing that shit on social media is cool? And it's like, oh, he's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, well, you know, I really empathize with you because I know when your father died, it was like, oh, Jesus. And he went there. And it's just like, I don't really get the whole point of that. I guess promotion. But when you're watching those things, 98% of the time, it feels like more it's for show. Like, that stuff does not get me to watch a fight. I'm sorry. Like, if I'm not interested in the fight before that talk, it's not going to make me watch the fight. I'm either going to watch two people fuck each other up or I'm not. But I get it. The whole selling, the promoting thing, whatever. But Dylan Dan's pointed out in another, he's like, dude, look at his eyes. This dude is either coked out of his mind or he's on some of the craziest Adderall. And I'm like, you know what? I never thought about that. Because there is two completely, like, even if you watch or listen to his podcast now, and I've caught some clips for, like, in his podcast, he's pretty relaxed. Like, he's typically, like, kind of just laid back and, you know, his eyes are kind of squinting. He's just, like, normal. Just, like, a normal state. It's more relaxed. But when he's, like, when he knows he's got to be, like, for the camera and for, like, whoever or whatever the situation is, that dude is wired, right? Maybe he just gets a good night's sleep. Maybe it's a good night's sleep plus Prime. You know what? Because I gotta be honest, during some of this Prime, I can see why he looks coked out of his mind. It actually tastes pretty good. I ain't gonna lie. But yeah, but see, that's the thing, is just stop with the Prime promotion. Like, it actually tastes alright. Like, he's bringing a lot of the backlash on himself for being over the top with the promotion, trying to promote it as something, trying to compare it to other of their competitors aggressively, and then having these people scientifically dismantle what he's saying. It's like, then saying they are stupid virgins. It's like, yeah, I'm going to say Derek from More Place, More Date is not a stupid virgin. He's definitely not stupid. I'm going to say he's not a virgin. With all the physiological things he knows about the body, I'm pretty sure he knows exactly how to not stay a virgin and how to maximize his capabilities. But yeah, you know, I guess the moral of all that is hey, It's probably going to be one of the most terrible fights ever. It's probably not going to last long. And the thing is all this stuff, people hate Logan. But he's going to win the fight. Anyone with half a brain could just tell, like, look, at least this guy trains. At least this guy looks like a boxer, even if he's not really. Like, in terms of he physically looks like one. It's probably not the most technical and stuff like that. But compared to Dillon, yeah, it's and I know there's like, you should never judge by looks. There are people with good build. It's like, it's not about having a good build or bad build. One dude can punch and the other has a history of, even in his field of combat, his punches don't hurt no one. So, I don't know. If anything, it might be boring if it's very conservative. But yeah, Logan, don't sue me. Don't garnish my wages. Which is a weird thing to take pride in. It's like, you're not worried about doing what, like, if you feel defamation is against your girlfriend or whatever, it's over the top what he's doing, fine. But, like, your goal to literally sue them for every little thing. Like, honestly, if I'm a judge hearing this stuff, I'm like, all right, you're not going to be here abusing the court system. Just suing them for every little thing, using shit as leverage just because you have infinitely more money, and literally saying, because since I know you can't afford the legal fees for what I'd be suing you for, I'm just going to drain you dry and make your life miserable. It's like, if I'm a judge here now, I'll be like, bro, you know what? He can sue you. Like, I would just make it like, hey, don't make it where he could counter sue you and get all this money and he drain you. Right? But that's a weird, like, and I think that's where the unlikability, I think, has developed with him. Is what he is seeking in revenge is very, like, evil, and is very, like, his idea of making someone's life a living hell is just draining money from them, because he knows if that's what someone did to him, his life would be a living hell. Like, his life's going to be not great, but I'm pretty sure there's other things that probably matter to him just as much, if not more. Dillon doesn't, whatever you want to say, it doesn't really seem like he's that motivated for the money part. He may need money. He doesn't have as much money, but it doesn't really seem like he's doing all this just for money. It seems like Logan's idea for everything that's important to everyone else because it's important to him is a very self-narcissist type of way of being like, hey, if you don't value money like I do, that's why you're broke. It's like, not everyone cares for it like that. So, and I think that's what they don't like when you're saying stuff like your whole intention with all these lawsuits and every little thing he might break or not break is, I'm just going to sue him and shit. It's like, kind of a bitch ass move. It doesn't really show character. It doesn't really show your truth. It doesn't really show what your true intent, because it sounds like you're just doing all this stuff just to have the ability to sue someone for something. And no one's going to want to do business with you if your response to everything is just suing someone because you don't get your way over every little thing. So I don't know. I feel like he's going to be coming in a lawsuit with Prime. If they don't, since he don't really own Prime. If they're like, hey, you know what? Thanks for the free promo, but we're good. Here's your check before we make our big evaluation and get the fuck out. Oh, and he also said he was on vodka potentially. Which, hey, respect. Haven't had vodka in a while. Maybe I should, celebrate my 75th percentile raise. On that note, I am going to raise the banner. I actually sink the banner. And probably in this episode, because I think I've hit the wall more than a 41-year-old divorced lawyer. But yeah, That was episode 228 of the Often Be podcast with Clint Nelson. I'm your host, Clint Nelson. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Most important, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to suck some titties. Yeah, and I'll pull up on you because you know we're getting in shape. What else are they going to play? Often Be podcast with Clint Nelson, okay. And don't forget to suck some titties. I don't know if I said that 10 seconds ago, but you can never say it too much. So yeah, have a great day, evening, morning, brunch, crunch, honey bunches of munch on these noodles. So yeah, peace up, A-Town down.